Hi, I'm J-Root and welcome to part 1 of the Thief Speedrunners guide. In this video I'll be showing you the general tricks and techniques used throughout the run. The tricks will be roughly ordered by both usefulness and difficulty. The tricks I will show you are Strafe Running,
A few too many to try.
Bunnyhopping,
A few too many to try to get.
Dan jumping, item stacking, gentle dance / block clipping, swing clipping, death abusing, Blackjack Glitch, and mine jumping. Okay, so like I said, the first trick I'm going to be showing you is Strafe Running. And basically in this game they don't normalize your speed when you're holding different directions. So if you hold both forwards and sideways, you actually gain the speed of both going forward and sideways added together. Let me just show you real quick. This is me walking forwards. As you can see, it's pretty slow, and holding both of them and strafing, it's just ever so slightly faster. So on its own, strafing doesn't have a huge effect on your speed. However, when you combine it with the trick I'm about to show you, bunny hopping, it becomes quite useful. So let me just show you bunny hopping real quick.
A few too many to try to get.
As you can see, you basically just jump whenever you land and you get a bit more speed, and if you look carefully, my head starts tilting back when I get to a certain point. So the reason this works is, in this game, whenever you jump, your speed is multiplied by 1.4. And you can just chain these, right? As long as you don't touch the ground for too long, because if you do, your speed will slow back down to the normal running speed. So you just want to make sure you're jumping as soon as you touch the ground. And to make this really simple, you can just bind jump to either one of your mouse wheel directions. So in my case, I have it bound to mouse wheel down, and if you are using my bindings from speedrun.com, you'll have the same. So yeah, it just makes it easier to use scroll wheel. You can still do this with spacebar like this. Oh, okay, I'm screwed up. You can see it still works, it's just a bit less effective. Because it's extremely hard to time it so that you jump immediately, whereas with scroll wheel you just start scrolling when you're near the ground, and it's super simple. Another thing to note is that you can't really turn particularly easy when you're bunny hopping. So if you see I'm doing this, but if I change my direction, it doesn't change. In fact, I can hold just right, and as long as I'm scrolling correctly, it won't change direction. So if you want to change direction whilst bunny hopping, you need to make sure to take a quick pause. Otherwise your direction change won't count. Okay, so now I'm going to show you Dan jumping. Dan jumping is, once again, a very simple technique. To Dan jump, all you need to do is jump onto an object, for example this table here, and we're going to start strafing and then scroll. And as you can see, that gave me quite a bit of distance, much further than a normal jump would. And I'll show you again, even further that time. So essentially what's happening here is, in New Dark, the collision with objects is a little bit broken, and also the jumping is different. So what's happening is we're basically jumping multiple times off of this object before we leave it. And as I said previously, jumping gives you a 1.4 times multiplier to your speed. So you're just combining that. It's equivalent to doing a bunch of bunny hops in a row, except you do it all at once. And in the same vein, you need to be careful, because if you hit a wall too fast, you'll die. So Dan jumping, as well as working on objects, actually also works on small ledges like this. If you catch the edge of a ledge, you can bunny hop off of it. So in here, in this next room, I have a quick example where this can work. So this here is actually made out of a brush. This is terrain rather than an object like this table. And if I jump on this, you can see it gave me the same effect of a speed boost. So yeah, this just works the same way. You're just colliding with this multiple times and jumping off it multiple times before you leave. They're generally not as effective as jumping off of objects, but yeah, they work pretty well. They're pretty easy. You just need to practice with these to make sure you're not jumping too much and hitting a wall and dying. Okay, we've moved on from Lord Bafford's Manor to the end of Bone Hoard. And now I'm going to show you how item stacking works. As you probably guessed from the previous video, objects in this game actually have hitboxes. So you can see here, this is a hitbox, and I can jump on it. I'm showing this with a drone mode command, and if I drop an item, you'll see it also has a hitbox. So you can actually climb on these. So right here, I can't make this jump, can I? But if I drop some items below me, and now I can do it. So it's pretty simple. You just need to make sure you are standing perfectly still and looking straight down, and then you want to drop your items and jump before they hit the ground, like so. If you jump after they hit the ground, you're stuck in them and you have to move off and start again. So you just need to look straight down, be standing completely still, and make sure you jump before the items touch the ground. So you can do this one at a time if you want, just to be safe. But if you're quick, drop them all and jump. Very simple. Shouldn't take you too long to get good at it. You just need to make sure you're standing still. That's the thing that mainly throws people off when they do it. When they come over and they're just like dropping them and they go everywhere. So yeah, if they slide off of each other, it means you weren't standing still or looking down. Back to Bafford's now, and I'm going to be showing you how to do block clipping, also known as gentle dance or gentle clipping. These are the first more complex trick that have a few requirements. The basic requirement here is that the walls and objects that you go through have to be 1 unit thick or thinner. So this wall here is a perfect example, and basically most of the walls on Bafford's are very, very thin. So you can do it here. So the first rule is that the wall has to be quite thin. This one's quite thin. And then there's a second rule as well, and that is you need to have a ceiling within a certain range above your head. So if I do this here, nothing happens. If I'm underneath this arch, it works. So the range is roughly 8 to 10 units. You will sort of get a feel for this, and you can actually use item stacking and crouching and a combination of the two to adjust that range. So you can, even if the ceiling isn't perfectly high, the perfect height by default, you can use those techniques to get it within range. So let me explain now how you actually perform this clipping. So what you need to do is you go up to a wall with your blackjack out or your sword, it works with both of them, and you first block, lean, and jump. Now you want to make sure you just tap jump or use scroll wheel. Scroll wheel works better than using the spacebar. And then you should hopefully go through. If you're looking too far up, this won't work. Or if you're looking too far to the side, you'll generally want to be looking straight forwards and a little bit down, and it should work. Now you may encounter, as I have here, you can see I'm holding W and I'm not moving away. Once you've clipped, you'll be stuck slightly on the other side of the wall, and this is a bit annoying, but in most cases you can just move to the side slightly and then you'll be free. So every clip in this game is a little bit different. You'll likely want to experiment a little bit to get a feel for how each clip works. There'll be different looking angles and such for each one. This can actually also be used to clip through doorways. This is not a good example. This one's a better example. So you can use this to clip through doorways. Works the same way, but you want to make sure you don't touch the hitbox of the door beforehand. Otherwise, you'll essentially always get stuck on once you reach the other side, and doorways often mean you get stuck in such a point that you can't move sideways because the doorway's in the way. So let me just show you what a quick door clip looks like, or a door clip. So we come, and the general idea in New Dark is you aim directly for this corner on the doorway, look slightly off to the right, and crouch. And if you're lucky, you'll go through. Obviously, in this case, we don't need to clip this. It's just a door you can open. But if it's a door that you can't open, or like pick the lock or have a key for very easily, then clipping it is the way to go. So yeah, these will need a little bit of practice.
Since I'm in here, I might
If you're getting stuck, like I said, it's generally to do with looking angle, or if it's a door clip of some kind, it means you've touched the door beforehand. So just be wary of those. Still on the concept of clipping, I mentioned at the beginning that we also have a type of clipping called swing clipping. So let me just show you that again. As you can see, this doesn't use the blocking method. This instead uses a blackjack swing. So this technique essentially allows you to ignore the height range above your head for the most part. So let me find a quick example. Actually, no, this is a good example in here. So as I showed you previously, it doesn't work. However, with swing clipping, if I time it, I'll still go through. So the reason we actually don't use these particularly often is that they're quite hard to time. There's a specific part of the downswing that you need to lean on, and it's pretty hard to hit it. But essentially, it works the same way as previously. Back to the wall, swing, lean, jump. You just need to time your jumping and leaning. We don't really have a specific timing. You just sort of need to get a feel for this. This will definitely take some practice, but fortunately it's not used very often. The easiest timing is as you hear the swinging noise, you lean and jump. They're pretty rough to do, but they actually get a bit worse. You can do these crouching, so the maximum height limit is removed, but there is a minimum height limit which still has issues. Is lower than previous, so it's more like 6 units high you need to crouch for. But the timing when you're doing it like this is extremely hard. They're only used in undercover, but yeah, they're really tough. I regularly fail them, so I wouldn't worry about getting too perfect with these. Just make sure you're reasonably comfortable at doing them and can achieve them somewhat regularly. Like I said, this is something you're just going to need to practice. The timing is just something you need to get muscle memory of, essentially. So now I'm going to go over death abuses and how they work. First, I'm just going to show you a quick example again. I'm going to drop this mine here, wait for it to activate, and jump, and you'll see I complete the mission. So let me just explain how these work. Essentially, what needs to happen is you need to die and then complete the mission. So in this case, the mission completes once I go past this line here into this bit of tunnel. So you see objective not ticked, not ticked, ticked. It's just as I cross here. So in this case, what I'm doing here is I'm dropping the mine, I'm dying to the mine and then falling into the completion zone. Once again, there we go. Now, what happens if you die after completing it? I will show you here. You fail, is essentially what happens. So the reasoning for this is that when you die, you get put into a death state, and then when you complete the mission, it for some reason overwrites the death state and puts you in the mission complete state. It's pretty simple, honestly. It's just a small mistake they made with the game. This is just one example of how it's done. You can also do this in a few other ways. You can do it with like fire arrows, for example, is the other main way of doing it. But yeah, they're pretty simple. I will provide a save for you to practice the one here, just so you don't have to learn how to do the level first. Still keeping with the blackjack theme, I'm now going to show you the blackjack glitch. So I'll give a quick example of it. Just make a save. So I took a little bit of damage there, but nowhere near as much as if I just simply jumped. Look at that. So from that you can probably guess what blackjack glitch is used for. Blackjack glitch is basically a method of storing the hitbox to the blackjack and using it to slow our fall and prevent or reduce fall damage. It's fairly easy to perform. You know, it's not too hard. In most cases you can get away with only using it once, but you can actually also chain it. I'll just show you that too. So I chained it 2 times there. So yeah, this is another nice one. This one is used somewhat often, actually, much more often than swing clipping. And to perform it, what you want to do is you get your blackjack out, and for this trick you actually require lockpick. So this means you can only start using it in assassins and onwards, and not in more or escape, for example. So you get your blackjack out or your sword. Again, the same as with the clipping, this also works with a sword. So we get our blackjack out, we hold down the attack button, so Garrett has his arm in the air swinging it, and then we go to a lockpick. We have a lockpick highlighted now in our inventory, and we scroll past it, and you'll see Garrett actually swung, but you'll see I'm still holding attack. And this has the blackjack glitch loaded now. And if I let go of attack real quickly, you might just see the blackjack will shift a little bit. So I'm going to let go now. You see it's shifted slightly, and that means it's unloaded. So yeah, once again, hold down attack, scroll past a lockpick, it doesn't matter which one. Garrett will swing, and now we have it loaded. So to activate this, all we need to do is sheath the blackjack. So let's do this real quick. Sheath it, and you'll see it stopped my momentum, and I actually jumped off of it there. So you can actually jump off of a blackjack glitch, and that's a whole nother technique that we will explain potentially in a future video, but I probably won't. In fact, I have an older video that explains blackjack coptering, as we call it, so you can search it up if you want to. And to chain it, it's pretty simple. All you need to do is after you sheath it, immediately bring the blackjack out again. So sheath and bring it back out again. And now it's loaded, but you'll see I don't have to hold down left mouse button anymore. So this is pretty nice. You will also notice that it often somewhat reduces your sensitivity. This is just something you'll have to get used to. You can unload blackjack again and get rid of this by left mouse. There we go. Just attack and it unloads it. So yeah, just to chain it, you just sheath it, immediately bring it out, and then you have to wait a small amount of time before you can sheath it again. The timing for that, you'll just sort of get used to it. I think it takes around a quarter of a second before it's usable again, otherwise it just fails. So let me just show you it. There you go, you saw I do it, but if I just sort of spam sheath and unsheath, it won't work. As you can see. So yeah, pretty simple. It just takes a little bit of practice to chain it and also to aim where you want to go. It is a little bit fickle. Sometimes you'll bounce off of the blackjack hitbox in an angle you don't intend. You just sort of get used to this. You can sort of guess if it's going to throw you off based on where you were aiming when you initially loaded it. So if I load it like this, it may sometimes decide to just throw me off a weird direction. Like I said, you just get used to these and you sort of learn to predict when it's going to do that, but it's generally not too bad. And this is a pretty useful trick. The final technique I'm going to show you here is another method of slowing your fall and preventing fall damage. And this is called mine jumping. I'll quickly show you this. So we have mines equipped and we just throw them. You have to throw them, not drop them, otherwise it doesn't work. It's pretty simple. You just make sure you're falling downwards and throw it beneath you. You need to be looking directly down and throw it, otherwise it won't work. So this one's pretty simple, but it's not used a huge amount of time. It's basically only used if Blackjack Glitch isn't available. And that's because it's a pain to have to pick up the mine afterwards, and also you must have at least 2 of the same type of mine in your inventory for it to work. So if I quickly show you here, it works when I have 2, but if I drop one and then try it, it doesn't work. I'm personally not 100% sure why this is. I think it has something to do with objects in your inventory actually exist in the world essentially, so I think it has something to do with that, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, you just need to make sure you always have 2 of that type of mine in your inventory. It does also work with gas mines. Like I said, you just need to make sure you drop the mine after your height starts decreasing. So if I drop it while I'm going upwards, it doesn't do anything. In fact, it sort of throws the mine up in the air. You need to be falling for it to work. And you can chain these if you have enough mines. You can drop multiple of them after each other. You can also jump off of them, which can be pretty useful. In More, for example, we do that. We dan jump off of the mines. So yeah, there we go. That is basically all of the techniques that you need to know. These are the general techniques. There are a few tricks which are only used in like one level, for example, and those we don't cover here. I'll cover them when we come up to them, essentially. But yeah, now we know all the tricks. The next videos are essentially just going to be showing you how to put these tricks together for each level. You won't be learning anything new. You'll be learning the roots, but that's all you'll be learning from this point on. Just the roots, which is pretty nice.